On September 19th, 2020, a massive new world record was set for Minecraft 1.16 RSG. It was a 17-minute, 26-second run by Dymax, which beat the previous record by over 2 minutes. It was the first sub 19, the first sub 18, and the first sub 1730 in Minecraft random seed history. It was a massive, unexpected world record cut. Then, 10 days later, it happened again. Well, it might have. Today, we're going to be breaking down Korbanoes' 14-minute, 56-second run on Minecraft 1.16 RSG. And more to the point, we're going to be trying to decide whether or not this run was truly random seed. For context, the Minecraft speedrunning community has had some trouble with cheaters recently. Most famously, Drem uploaded a supposed world record time and was immediately debunked by Dream. To Drem's credit, that got him a lot of attention. But hey, views are views. More recently, ODs had a speedrun which was a lot less suspicious on the surface, but because he was uncooperative with speedrun.com's staff in providing extra footage, became unverified. After that, speedrun.com announced that they would only accept top 3 times for new world records that were live streamed, since recorded runs were so much harder to prove and so much easier to fake. The run in question today was recorded and not streamed, which is an immediate knock against it. But before we get into its legitimacy, let's look at how the actual run went. And before we get into it, I just want to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing more of this content, because only a small percentage of our viewers are actually subscribed right now, and you could help change that. With that in mind, let's get into the run. The spawn in this speedrun wasn't amazing, but he gets into a village about a minute and 20 seconds into the run. He's got a very standard village, with the golem dropping 4 iron, a quick flint drop rate from gravel, and plenty of bread from chests and hay bales. He finds a very fast lava pool which is right next to the village and enters the nether at a little under 4 minutes. Like a lot of things about this run, his nether is pretty much perfect. He spawns right in a fortress with a blaze spawner only a couple seconds away. His blaze fight isn't the fastest, as he gets average drops, 7 rods and 14 kills. However, the luckiest part of this run are the pearl trades. He's able to mine a bit of gold around the fortress, but he only has 5 ingots to work with once he has his blaze rods. From those 5 trades, he gets 14 pearls, which is incredibly lucky. Overall, it's an insanely fast nether, with him leaving at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Now obviously the overall time for this run is insanely low, so it should come as no surprise that this time leaving the nether is absolutely nutty. It's hard to emphasize just how good this is, but if you're familiar with Minecraft speedrunning, then the time speaks for itself. Moving on, his first dive ender leads him back through the village where he grabs a couple extra beds for insurance. With another stroke of luck, right outside the village is an ocean, so he can both travel faster and spot the stronghold without having to throw more eyes or dig down. He doesn't find the portal room immediately, like sometimes happens with an underwater stronghold, but he reaches the stronghold at about 11:20 and finds the portal room at about 12:45. He actually experiences a lot of lag upon entering the end, especially when trying to manage his inventory, but by 13:30 he's ready to one-cycle the dragon. He doesn't get an amazing dragon perch, but it's still decently fast, with the dragon coming down at about 14 minutes 40 seconds. He gets the one cycle with 6 beds, and finishes the run with a real time of 15 minutes 11 seconds, and an in-game time, which is the one that matters, of 14 minutes and 56 seconds. This speedrun was close to perfection in pretty much every way. But now, let's determine if it was real. First, we're going to look at the argument against Korbanoes. Keep in mind that we're going to go back to these arguments when we look at the reasons that support Korbanoes, so before you start trying to debunk our arguments in the comments, keep in mind that we're going to look at both points of view. The thing that makes this run suspicious in the first place is the fact that it was recorded, not streamed. After the controversial faked speedruns from Drem and ODs, speedrun.com said that for a top 3 run to be verified, it would have to be streamed. So right off the bat, we know that this run doesn't have a great shot at being verified. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's fake. Another major thing that would point to this run being illegitimate is the frequent lag in the recording, which can often be a sign of the player splicing together different recordings and making it look like one run. There are also a few suspicious moments throughout the run that, on the surface, may make this seem like a set seed run. The first suspicious decision is his decision to play the run in the first place. Spawning in a dark oak forest is not a situation that many top speedrunners would continue in, and while he does spot a savanna, he stops to make tools before he even sees the village. Making the tools that early is a very rare move for a top speedrunner. The next suspicious thing about this run is that he hasn't found a lava pool yet when he finishes looting the village. So he decides to run over a hill and towards a mountain, which is not where you would want to go to find a lava pool. Lo and behold, there's a lava pool right there, just out of sight. Not completely incriminating, but definitely a strange coincidence. Some of his movements and decisions in the Nether are somewhat suspicious as well. For example, he has no trouble spotting all the gold around him, some of which are in pretty obscure locations. Secondly, when piglins come towards him while he's fighting the blazes, he kills the piglins instead of just blocking off the area so they can't get in. This is a risky move, because if he can't find more piglins around, it'll take him much longer to trade. This could suggest that he knew there were large packs of piglins that spawned in that area. After leaving the Nether, he sees that he has to go back through the village, where he grabs a couple extra beds. He couldn't have known that he would have to go back through the village, meaning it would have been inconvenient for him to grab those extra beds if the stronghold had been in a different direction. Why didn't he just grab those extra beds before he went to the Nether? Now let's look at the counter-arguments to these points, and the signs that point to this run being legitimate. First off, we have the argument that the run was recorded and not streamed. The number one argument working in Korbanoes' favor is that he's a trusted Minecraft speedrunner in the community. He currently has the 1.9 through 1.15 RSG world record, which is verified on speedrun.com, so he's a very unlikely candidate to start cheating. Additionally, the lag in the video could add to the argument that he had a good reason to not stream the speedrun. Streaming causes more lag than recording. On the topic of all of his lag and how that might be a tell that the run is faked, the game does lag in all the right places. By that, I mean that the parts of the game that are laggiest on lower power computers are where his game lags in this run, namely entering the Nether and, most of all, when entering the end. If he used fake lag to splice together the video, he did it at the point when lag would be most likely in the game. So, the main 2 points of suspicion in the run have solid counter-arguments to support Korbanoes. Now, let's look at the other suspicious moments in this run. The first suspicious decision was the decision to play the run in the first place. However, there are a few ways to support this decision. Firstly, 1.16 speedruns are so dependent on the Nether that you don't need a great overworld to have a viable run, as demonstrated in this speedrun. He could have been warming up and wanted to practice making his tools. Additionally, his personal best time on 1.16 before this run was 24 minutes 26 seconds, which means his standards for resetting would likely have been different than top runners like Dymax, Benex, and Nice Twice. He didn't need as good of a spawn as other runners to get a personal best. The next point of suspicion we brought up was his ability to confidently locate the lava pool seemingly out of nowhere. This may seem suspicious at first, but on rewatching the video, you can actually see a burning tree on the right as he's entering the village. It's not too easy to notice, but we can assume that he saw it then and kept track of where the lava pool was. The next suspicious move was his killing of the pigmen in the Nether. However, when he did this, he was in an awkward spot to block them off, and he did almost die multiple times in the blaze fight. It could have definitely been a desperate measure to save himself from dying, and he just got lucky that there were more pigmen. The final point of suspicion that we found in this run was when he grabbed more beds in the village on the way to the stronghold. However, he already had 7 beds when he entered the Nether, which is the standard amount used to one-cycle the dragon. It's very possible he only grabbed the 2 extra beds as a precaution, since with his pace he could reasonably fail one cycle and still get world record as long as he had extra beds. So, pretty much every argument we've seen against him has some reasoning to counter it. There are also some moves that would likely not come in a set seed run. Upon finding the stronghold, he goes in the wrong direction and into the wrong rooms multiple times. Yes, a cheater might do that to make the run seem real, but they most likely would not do it multiple times. The slowest part of this run is finding the portal room, which is one of the fastest parts of pretty much every faked speedrun. So, after looking at all these different pieces of evidence, we can say with a decent amount of certainty that this speedrun was not faked. It's definitely not without suspicion, especially with such an incredibly low time, but the evidence against it being fake is simply more compelling than the evidence supporting it being fake. However, the fact still remains that unless speedrun.com makes an exception, this run won't be verified. Now, Korbanoes has said on other speedrunners' streams that he sent his entire 2-hour recording to the speedrun.com mods to try to prove this run's legitimacy. Will that be enough to convince the mods and get them to verify this run despite their rule? Who knows. But if it isn't, that would raise another question. Do we as a community accept this as the new world record? It seems likely that the run is real, but with no one officially verifying it, should it count? In the past, runs that have been unverified have been discarded from being considered legitimate records, but if speedrun.com chooses to simply ignore this run because it wasn't streamed, how should we react? Personally, I think it's going to depend on how the other major speedrunners react to this world record. If they acknowledge it as the time to beat on their streams, it will be accepted as the new world record. If they stick with Dimax's time as their goal to beat, that will still be what people recognize as the world record. Personally, I would be willing to accept this as a new world record because at this point I'm convinced that it wasn't faked, but it's hard to know at this point how this will affect the community. We'll have to wait and see. That's about it for this video, so if you enjoyed, be sure to show your support by liking the video and subscribing for more of this content. Let us know in the comments if you agreed with our verdict, and if you noticed anything in this run that we missed, you can also drop it down there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.